Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to the episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we'll discuss the newly arrived Abyssal Ferrymen Teams for your campaigns of Necromunda Hive Secundus. We will discuss their impact on campaign play, their strengths and weaknesses, their individual fighters, their playstyle, and provide critical information that you can use in your campaign. And of course, because this video will be of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below, so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So let's talk about the Abyssal Ferrymen Team. So who are these guys? Narrowly speaking, the Abyssal Ferrymen Team are operatives, smugglers, thieves, human traffickers basically. What they do is they specialize in smuggling goods and people from the Dust Wall, which is narrowly speaking the border between Hive Secundus and the rest of Necromunda, as well as the Secundus Exclusion Zone, which is where Hive Secundus is located at, where the Underhive campaigns take place. They basically ferry soldiers as well as gangs between the Dust Wall to Hive Secundus. They also bring them back out again. They also bring in goods from both sides. That way, if there's a Archaeotech hunter team down in the depths of Hive Secundus, they can bring materials to them, and also vice versa. So they actually play a vital role in the narrative of the Underhive campaign. They're the guys who are kind of like the go-between between your gang as well as the rest of Hive Primus. Now, at the same time, in the role of the campaign, they actually have a really significant impact for Archaeotech hunter teams in your campaigns in the Underhells. If you are playing an Archaeotech hunter gang, you actually get one of these teams absolutely for free in your gang, and they actually give you a lot of buffs and boons that can help you out to survive a little bit better in the campaign setting. And because of that, they have a huge impact on how successful your gang is going to be in the Underhells itself. They do things like bring you additional weapons or war gear. They can do medical escort missions, that sort of thing. So things that you would normally be able to take advantage of in a normal Dominion campaign in Hive Primus, these are the guys who are going to help you out do that for Archaeo Hunter gangs. So that being said, let's talk about exactly what we'll be discussing in this video. So these are the topics that we will discuss in this video. We'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the Abyssal Ferrymen teams and how they're basically going to impact your gang specifically. We'll also talk about the different Enclaves for your Abyssal Ferrymen team. These guys actually have different specializations called Enclaves, and we'll discuss each of those Enclaves in detail in this video as well. We'll also talk about the individual fighters that make up an Abyssal Ferrymen team and talk about their characteristics and what role they play in your gang. We'll also talk about the different play styles you could use these guys in order to use in your gang, so that way you can customize your Abyssal Ferrymen team to help supplement your gang the best way possible. And of course, we will provide you 4 starting rosters for your Abyssal teams. And the reason why we're doing 4 starting rosters is because there are 4 different Enclaves that are available to you in this campaign setting up to this point. And so we'll make a starting roster for each one of those, so that way you can see how it might help you out in your campaigns. So first of all, let's talk about the strengths of the Abyssal Ferrymen team. The nice thing about these guys is that they're a bonus alliance for Archaeo Hunter gangs in the Underhive campaign. So when you do the Underhive campaign, you basically have to divide yourself between 2 factions. Either you're Archaeotech hunters, which means you're in Hive Secundus for very specific reasons, and you're outsiders coming in order usually to raid all the riches that are available to you, or you're playing like a Spire team that's down there to rack up your kill counts, or you're playing a Mousetrain gang, which basically means you're there to defend the Hive Secundus from any outsiders. So if you end up being an Archaeotech Hunter gang, what you do is you actually get one of these guys automatically, the Abyssal Ferrymen team, for your gang, because they make up the alliance for that system. The normal alliances are not allowed to in the Underhive campaign, so these are kind of like the go-between guys that kind of takes the place of the old Merchant Guild, Noble House, as well as criminal alliances that used to be available for gangs who are in the Underhive. The nice thing about these Abyssal Ferrymen team is that they're highly customizable. They basically have a set number of credits you can use to purchase weapons and war gear with a certain set of rarity values, so you can get whatever you need to equip your fighters and make them your choice. At the same time, they also are like Minotaurs in the sense that they have multiple characteristics that you can choose that you want to use for your fighters. So whatever is their best for your playstyle, you can use whatever characteristics you want. At the same time, they're added to your gang for free. They don't cost you anything to add these guys to your gang. And the best part of all, they don't take up a crew slot. So for example, let's pretend you're playing in a scenario that allows you to take 10 fighters from your gang to make your crew. Well, you can take all 10 fighters and take your Abyssal Ferrymen team on top of that without taking any crew slots, which is absolutely fantastic. It's actually better in my opinion than the old Merchant, Criminal, and Noble House alliances, because the Merchant, Criminal, and Noble House alliances used to take the slot of 1 crew member in your gangs, but this guy's taking none, so that's absolutely fantastic and makes a lot of variety and brings a lot of fighters to your table as well. Now, there are a few weaknesses with the Abyssal Ferrymen team, and these weaknesses are actually not all that bad, actually. Considering what they bring to the table and bring to your gang, they actually bring a lot more benefits than weaknesses. The number one weakness you got to remember about your Abyssal Ferrymen team is that they will only be available for your gang to use for about 2/3 of the campaign. In an Underhive's campaign, you have 3 different phases in that campaign. So the very first 2 phases, you'll be allowed to bring your Abyssal Ferryman team. On the last third of the phase, the survival phase, more often than not, you're not going to be able to use these Ferryman team in order to help you out. That is, of course, exceptions to this rule. There's actually one Ferryman team, which is a Dramatis Personae Ferryman team, where this is not the case. But we'll talk about those guys later on when we get to the starting rosters. Another problem that you run into with the Abyssal Ferryman team is that you cannot upgrade your fighters as your campaign goes. So once you spend your credit allowances for your fighters, for your members of your Ferryman team, that's it. You cannot spend any more credits on these guys to get better weapons, equipment, or whatever. So whatever they start off the campaign with, that is what they're staying with in terms of weapons and war gear. The only exception to this rule, of course, are your vehicles. The Abyssal Ferryman team have access to what is called a custom rig, which is basically like a customized vehicle version of the Cargate Ridge Hauler, and these Abyssal Ferryman team have access to these vehicles. That is the only thing that is the exception. You can only upgrade the vehicle, not the fighters. So you do have to keep that in mind. Also, another weakness of the Abyssal Ferryman team is that they don't level up like your fighters. They don't gain any experience whatsoever. So whatever stats you pick in terms of characteristics and skills, that's what they're going to stick with, and that's all they're going to have. Like I said, not really bad weaknesses considering what they bring to your gang. So that's the nice part about that. It's pretty much all buffs, not really much liabilities. So now that we're done talking about the strengths and weaknesses of an Abyssal Ferryman team, let's talk about the Enclaves real quick. So when you pick an Abyssal Ferryman team, you have 4 different Enclaves you get to choose. And it's supposed to represent the fact that these Abyssal Ferrymen are from like very certain settlements, or they're very specific types of ferrymen who specialize in a very specific skill set. So that way it can kind of add you some additional bonuses to your gang and your Underhive's campaign. You basically have 4 types. We have Explorer Enclaves, Hunter Enclaves, Tinker Enclaves, as well as Survivor Enclaves. And don't worry, we're going to talk about exactly what each of these different enclaves bring to your gang, so that way once you get a better idea of what kind of bonuses you want for your gang, and you can choose which enclave is actually best for you for your playstyle and what kind of focus you want to have for your campaign. So let's go ahead and talk about the Explorer enclaves first. So the Explorer Enclaves are actually quite interesting. These guys, narrowly speaking, are supposed to be like the pioneers of the Abyssal Ferrymen team. These are the guys who make the headways and trailblaze into parts that no one's ever been to, either other hidden areas within the exclusion zone, or they're actually going deeper into the depths of Hive Secundus. So because of that, they have a game mechanic rule called New Horizons, and the special rule reads like this. It reads, at the end of each cycle, the Abyssal Ferrymen team that's in employ of the gang add D3 exploration points to their gang's total. Now, in case you're not aware of what exploration points are, in order to advance to the different phases of the campaign, what you have to do is you have to build up what is known as exploration points, what they're basically called, right? And that basically means that every single gang gets a certain number of exploration points at the end of each individual scenario that they actually play in. And because of that, when you get enough of these exploration points, your gangs can then advance to the next phase of the campaign. So because of that, it's going to be really important for you to advance your campaign to the next phase once you have enough exploration points for all the gangs to actually do so. At the same time, you could also spend your exploration points, if you have a surplus of these points, for your gang and give you a couple of boosts. For example, if you spend 5 of these points, you can earn D3 times 10 credits per point spent, or you could spend 2 points in order to choose the gang's next territory when you get the next phase of the campaign, or you could spend 6 exploration points to gain an additional territory when you go to the next phase. Because remember, in the Underhive's campaign, you only get 1 territory per phase, so if you get a second one, that's a huge bonus for your gang as well. In my opinion, the Explorer Enclave is a really good choice for long campaign play, so that way you can choose different territories or gain additional territories every phase of the campaign setting. So that's going to be really nice for you to generate income and give you additional bonuses to your gang in order to help you survive. In my opinion, the Explorer Enclave is a really good general purpose enclave to choose, especially if you're really concerned about resources and helping out your gang to get more equipment, more fighters, that sort of thing. The second enclave we're going to discuss real quick are your Hunter Enclaves. So the Hunter Enclaves are supposed to be more the aggressive type of Abyssal Ferrymen. These guys specialize in fighting, kind of like hired guns to help you kind of delve deeper and to survive whatever might be throwing your way. And the Hunter Enclaves actually have a special rule called Cunning Killer Special Rule. Let's go ahead and read that real quick. The Cunning Killer Special Rule reads as thus. While Abyssal Ferryman team is employee of the gang, all members of the team and any friendly fighters within 6 inches of the team can re-roll failed wounds against roaming horrors. Now, in case you're not aware what roaming horrors are, these are actually I guess you would call them random encounters in each of the scenarios. You actually have to roll on a roaming horrors table, and basically you have like either hive scum or mouse gene stealers or any combination thereof that actually act as aggressors. So not only have to worry about your opponents, you have to worry about these random creatures running around that you might run into in the depths of the Underhells. And these things can actually be quite deadly, especially like the Malstrain gene stealers, extremely deadly. So having the ability to actually reroll wounds against these guys, very, very useful, especially if you're going to if you're facing against roaming horrors. So that's one of the things you want to use these guys for. So like if you're kind of worried about taking out your enemies or NPCs like that, this is a really good general purpose enclave to choose because it kind of gives you bonuses in order to fight against the random encounters that you might meet in the Underhells campaign. So that's one of the reasons why I really like this hunter group, especially like if you're playing like a gang that's maybe not has the really strong weapons. So for example, let's say you're playing Van Sar, for example, and you don't think your last weapons are going to be very strong against the threats that are there. You could use these guys to kind of help you get that little boost in order to wound these guys in your shooting phase, for example. The next enclave we're going to talk about are the Tinker Enclaves. Now these guys are supposed to be people who basically go into the Underhells to look for equipment, to look for weaponry, to look for gadgets and gizmos and archaeotech. And these guys specialize in upgrading weapons, upgrading that tech, equipment basically. And what they have is a special rule called the War Chest Special Rule. And it reads, at the end of each cycle, this Abyssal Ferrymen team is in the employ of the gang. Add D6 times 5 credits or the weapons or war gear to the gang stash from their house equipment list. Which is kind of nice because you can get up to 30 credits worth of weapons or war gear and things to help you out. So this is a really good benefit in terms of like just the odd pieces of equipment that you really don't want to spend your credits on. For example, things that you could use it for are things like ammunition subtypes. So for example, let's say you have stub guns in your gang and you really want to spend money on your dum-dum rounds, but you don't want to spend, your hard-earned credits that you got from your scenario. Well, you could use the war chest rule in order to do that. So for example, let's say you roll 15 credits, you can buy 3 sets of dum-dum rounds for the stub guns in your gang, or things like hotshot last packs, for example, or maybe mesh armor or flak armor or armored undersuits, or maybe whatever random equipment or weaponry that is pretty cheap that you would normally not want to spend your hard-earned credits on. This War Chest Special Rule is perfect for that in order to cover that. And in my opinion, this is actually another really good general purpose enclave to choose as well because, everybody has those odd bits of weapons, whether it's the weapon shrouds or a gun sight or ammunition subtype or some small piece of random equipment that, is a pain to purchase, but now with this Tinker Special Rule, with the War Chest Special Rule, you don't have to worry about spending your credits to do that because you automatically get that at the end of every phase. So that's the reason why I really like the Tinker Enclaves as well, especially if you're one of those kind of players who's really big on weapons and war gear for your gang. And the very last enclave we're going to talk about is the Survivor Enclave. Now, the Survivor Enclave are supposed to be representative of people who actually have no problem facing the unmentionable eldritch horrors that await them in Hive Secundus. These guys have been to the worst places, been in the worst situations. They've taken names, kicked butt, taken names, and survived. And so because of that, they have a really great special rule called Second Chance. And I'm going to read that rule to you guys now. In Second Chance, it reads, while this Abyssal Ferrymen team is in the employ of the gang, once during each cycle, the gang may perform one medical escort post-battle action costing 0 credits. The medical escort post-battle action may also be used to save a fighter that suffered a memorable death result on the lasting injury table. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the most powerful of the abilities given from the different Ferryman enclaves because you never know when you'll need a miracle medical escort mission. I mean, sometimes some players when they play a battle, they get really bad casualty rates sometimes. And sometimes you have multiple people who have either critical injuries or multiple people that have actually been killed on the battlefield. So whenever this happens, you could actually use this Second Chance special rule to kind of balance that out. So in case, for example, let's say you have 2 fighters who have critically injured and maybe you only have enough credits to save one of your fighters, well, this special rule can save the second guy. So in my opinion, of all the different enclaves, they're all great, don't get me wrong. I feel that the Survivor Enclaves is probably the best one to take just because you never know when you run into a situation where, multiple guys might be facing death and you can save one of them for free. And that's a very powerful ability to have, especially if it's a fighter that you really like or a fighter you've grown really attached to or a fighter who's extremely critical for the success of your gang. So in my opinion, if you're really worried about casualties, Survival Enclave is the one for you. So now that we're done talking about the enclaves, let's talk about the fighters that make up an Abyssal Ferryman team. Each of the Abyssal Ferryman team consists of 3 fighters. You have a Ferryman skipper, a Ferryman rig hand, and a Ferryman steersman. So let's talk about the leader of this little enclave, which is the Ferryman skipper. Now this guy is going to be the leader of your Abyssal Fireman team, and they basically come with 3 characteristics. Like I said before, these are like Venators. They get 3 different characteristics they can choose from. And for these three types, I like to call them the versatile, close combat, and shooter characteristics because that's what they're kind of geared towards. So let's talk about that real quick. So for the versatile characteristics line, you have 5-inch movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 3 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 2 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, and 7 intelligence. In my opinion, this stat is perfect for everything. Shooting, close combat, they have enough wounds to survive, they have a lot of attacks to be really successful in close combat. You really can't go wrong with that stat line. The close combat stat line has a 5-inch moon allowance, a 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, and 6 intelligence. Another really powerful stat as well. That additional strength to make you be able to get more casualties in close combat, as well as that 3-up weapon skill. You got a pretty decent initiative skill, some pretty decent psychological stats, so that's also really powerful as well. And the last one is the shooter characteristics line, and that consists of a 4-inch wound allowance, a 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill, 3 strength, 4 toughness, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, and 5 intelligence. So that one's also really good too. That really great intelligence score, you could actually use your Savant Ballistics Expert skill to make you even deadlier at shooting with some special weapons. At the same time, this guy is actually quite survivable with 2 attacks and 2 wounds. Plus 4 toughness is also great. You got that 3 initiative so that way you can hop around buildings and things. Like I said before, you can't go wrong with any of these characteristics because they're all really well done. At the same time, your Abyssal Ferryman Skipper also comes with mesh armor automatically, so they have a 5 armor save, and they can take 140 credits worth of weapons and war gear up to a rarity value of 10. Now this means both rarity as well as illegal rarity as well, so they can take both of those. So you can equip this guy any way you want to maximize your characteristics with the weapons and war gear combinations that you have. At the same time, they also automatically come with 1 skill. You can either choose combat ferocity, brawn, shooting, cunning, savant, or agility. And whatever customization you want with stats, with weapons, war gear, and skills makes these guys very, very versatile. You can do a lot of great things with these guys with some really powerful combinations. The second fighter with your Abyssal Ferryman delegation is the Ferryman Righand. This is like the fighter of the group, if you will. So while the skipper's like the leader, this guy is like your champion of your group as well. And just like your Abyssal Ferryman skipper, these guys have 3 types of characteristics as well. In my opinion, we're going to call them the squat, the orc, as well as the ogren characteristics. At least that's what I feel like, because the statistics you see for these guys kind of resembles what orcs, squats, and ogrens basically have. So let's talk about that. The squat characteristic line consists of a 3-inch wound allowance, 4-up weapon skill, 4-up ballistic skill. It's got 4 strength, 4 toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, and 7 intelligence. So it kind of reminds you of what squats or Votan guys are basically would consist of. They're kind of slow, but they're highly resilient as well. They got really good psychological stats, great strength, toughness, and wounds. The initiative not so great, but you know, that's the way that goes for these guys. The next stat is what I like to call the orc stat. It consists of a 5-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill. It's got 3 strength, but it's got 4 toughness. It's also got 3 wounds, so very survivable. It's got a 5 initiative, so won't be doing any acrobatics. It's got 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 6 cool, 8 willpower, and 7 intelligence. So the reason why I call this the orc stat is because it's got that 4-up toughness, but it's also got the lesser strength, but it's got that 3 wounds characteristic, which makes it extremely survivable. And so you can really use this for close assault or close combat. The very last stat I like to call the Ogren stat line. It consists of a 4-inch wound allowance, so it's not as fast as normal Ogren, so it's about 4 inches, but it's got a 4 weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, but 5 strength. So this guy is like your close up in the face, smash you with something in your face type character. It's got 4 wounds as 4 toughness, so it's more survivable, and 3 wounds, so it's very, very resilient, very strong, very survivable. It's got a 6-up initiative, however, so it's not going to be doing anything impressive with its acrobatics, but it's got 2 attacks, 10 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. So the best thing about any of these stats, you can tailor these statistics to you the way you want to play. So if you want to do more of a shooting type character, you could choose either the orc or the squat stat line, and you'll be perfectly fine. If you want to go for somebody that's like a wrecking ball that just kind of destroys everything that stands in its way, you can go with the ogren stat line. So you can tailor your fighters any way that you want. Now, they automatically come with flak armor, so they have a 6-up armor save, and they come with 100 credits worth of weapons and war gear with a rarity value up to 8. So that's also a nice combination as well. That rarity value also includes illegal rarity values as well. So if you want, you can do like the orc stat line if you want to equip them with like a chain axe and maybe some kind of strong shooting pistol. very, very powerful. Or you can take like the squat characteristics, give them like a long rifle with a infra sight, for example, or whatever you want to do. It's up to you how you want to tailor your characters for the playstyle that you want. And just like your skipper ferryman, they can also choose a skill from the combat, ferocity, brawn, shooting, cunning, savant, or agility skill trees. So these guys are extremely customizable to any playstyle that you want, and they're also going to really help your gang to be more survivable in the Underhive campaign. Now, the very last member of the Abyssal Ferrymen delegation is your Ferryman Steersman. This is basically your crew, vehicle crew. Their statistics are only one type. They have 4+ ballistic skill, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, 8 intelligence. And the reason why is because they're vehicle crew. And they automatically come with a stub gun and a custom rig, which you get absolutely for free. Now, like I've mentioned before, the custom rig is kind of like the customizable vehicle version of the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler. Normally, it would cost your gang 205 credits, but you get this vehicle for free, and you also get 150 credits worth of upgrades, weapons, and war gear with a rarity value up to 8 for your custom rig as well. You also get to choose between driving or shooting skills for your driver as well. Now, when it comes to the custom rig vehicle itself, it's got a 7-inch movement allowance, 8 toughness for the front, side, and as well as 7 toughness for the rear. It's got 5 hull points, 7+ for handling, as well as 4+ save. You do have the jury rig special rule, which basically means that in the post-battle action, if you take any damage for your vehicle, it's going to cost you twice as much in order to repair that. You also come with 2 weapon hardpoints on this vehicle. You can choose for it to be wheeled or tracked, and it also comes with 4 body upgrade slots, 4 drive upgrade slots, and 4 engine upgrade slots. So this thing is absolutely fantastic, and plus you get 150 credits that throw at this vehicle and customize it any way that you want. Plus you get a choice between either driving or shooting skill for your Ferryman Steersman, so it's a really great vehicle. So that's the nice thing about this too. You get a vehicle for free in your gang as well. So like I said, the Abyssal Ferrymen are all kinds of awesome. Now, when it comes to your Abyssal Ferryman, you do actually have a choice between whether you want to do what's called the Dramatis Personae Ferryman team or a custom Ferryman team. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they actually give you 4 Dramatis Personae who actually are members of an Abyssal Ferryman team. So you can take those guys instead of a normal Ferryman team, and with all the bonuses and everything else they get as well. Or you could actually go with the one that's fully customizable, where you kind of tweak it and make it the way you want to. Now, there are some pros and cons for both. In my opinion, the Dramatis Personae Ferryman team have better weapons, war gear, as well as skills. And since they don't cost you anything anyways, because they're going to be your Abyssal Ferryman team, it's just you get all those bonuses absolutely for free. The only flaw with the Dramatis Personae Ferryman team is that you can't customize them anyway. So whatever weapons, equipment, and skills they have, you're stuck with that for the entire time you have them. So if you're more of a player who wants to be more customizable and to create unique kind of things for your gang, that's the drawback as well. So in my opinion, it's kind of based on your choice, whether you want something that's already pre-made for you or if you want to make your own. So it's really up to you, because you can't go wrong either way. So now that we're going to talk about the Dramatis Personae versus customized Ferryman teams, let's go and talk about our starting rosters. Alright, so let's go and talk about the Abyssal Ferrymen teams that I created for your gangs. I have 4 different lists here, and the reason why I have 4 different lists is because I have 1 Ferryman team for each of the different Enclave types. So, of course, as always, you can customize these lists any way you want to. You can either take what I have here and use them in your campaigns, or you can change them up. It's entirely up to you how you want to play. So with that being said, let's go and talk about our very first list. Alright, so the very first list we're going to talk about real quick is list number 1. These guys are a Dramatis Personae Hunter Abyssal Ferryman team. It consists of a couple of characters. First of all, we have the Dramatis Personae character Hagthor Yarland. He's a ferryman skipper for your gang. He's going to be equipped with light carapace armor for 4-up armor save. He's got an Abyssal pattern shotgun, which is actually a customized weapon for him, as well as a power wrench for a close combat weapon. He comes with a respirator to make him a little bit more survivable for gas and toxic attacks. He also has the fixer skill, so that we get additional D3 times 10 credits every scenario. And he's also got the True Grit skill, makes him a little bit more survivable as well. At the same time, you also have Aster Felstern, who's also the Abyssal Ferryman rig hand for this gang. She's equipped with a light carapace armor for 4-up armor save. She has a stub gun and an axe, pretty basic. Same thing with the respirator, but she does have Bull Charge, that gives her additional +1 strength and knockback for her axe. And she also has the hurl skill as well to throw people. Now, for your Ferryman Steersman, this one's going to be customized. It's going to come with a stub gun as well as a custom rig, but for this vehicle, I recommend getting tracked locomotion, just because in case you're into difficult terrain, it's not going to be that bad. A crash cage, that way you can also make it a little bit more survivable for your vehicle crew. Same thing with escape hatches, so that way you can reroll in the lasting injury tables in case something happens to your passengers. It also comes with a small transport cage to make it a little bit more survivable as you're crossing the Secundus exclusion zone. And at the same time, also comes with a redundant drive system to protect your drive system. It's got tire claws to give you +1 for your guys' vehicle handling, as well as nitro burner to correct the -1 to movement you'll lose for going retract. At the same time, also comes with a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades, so that way you can open fire with those grenades. And your ferryman steersman is going to come with fast shots, so that way they can fire this frag and crack grenade from the grenade launcher multiple times. Now you do have the Hunter Enclave special rule attached to these guys, because that's the Enclave type that these Dramatis Personae come from. They're going to have the Cunning Killer's ability, which means that all friendly fighters within 6 inches of them can re-roll failed wound rolls against roaming horrors. You also have a new special rule attached to these guys called Endless Innovation special rule, which means that in the post-battle sequence, Aster Felstern can add a vehicle upgrade or war gear to a custom rig up to 30 credits in value for free. So whatever upgrades that cost less than 30 credits, you'll be able to get one of those absolutely free every time you play on the tabletop with this gang. So it makes it really, really great. It also makes it really awesome for your vehicles to have equipment as well as war gear to make your team even better. Now at the same time, their stats are actually not that bad at all. Hagthor Yarlin's shotgun, for example, is at strength 4 with a knockback with pulverized special for solid ammo, and his scatter shot does have scatter shot, which gives you d6 wound rolls, but it's at strength 3, so quite powerful. His power range is also quite good as well, making him strength 6 in close combat. It's also got the unwieldy as well as melee trait attached to it, but it has a 2-inch versatile trait too on top of that, which means you'll be hitting most people at weapon skill 4. That fixture and true grit's going to be great too to actually increase your credits as time goes on. Aster, of course, when she has that bull charge characteristic, makes her be able to strike with her axe at strength 5, which is actually quite nice. Now she does have a stub gun, which is kind of basic, nothing great there, but she does have 4 toughness as well as 3 wounds as well as 3 attacks, so she's going to be very, very survivable. Plus that hurl skill is going to be great, so that we can throw people off vehicles, throw them off rooftops, whatever the case may be that you want for your character. This is a pretty solid ferryman team in my opinion, especially since it's also a hunter ferryman team, so these guys will be able to give your gang bonuses for rerolling failed wound attacks against roaming horrors whenever you run into them in your scenarios. So this is the Dramatis Personae gang for the Hunter Enclaves. The second list I'm going to recommend is the Dramatis Personae Survivor Abyssal Ferrymen Teams. So let's talk about these guys. So once again, you will have two Dramatis Personae in this gang. The leader will be a man named Madrick Hellbane. He's going to this guy's got 5-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, 2+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence. This character is also packing mesh armor for 5 up armor save. He's also got an Archaeotech pistol for his weapon, as well as a respirator, so makes a little more survivable gas and tox attacks. He's also got dodge, evade, step aside, as well as a trick shot skill. Now his Archaeotech pistol is actually quite good. It's got a 6-inch short range, 12-inch short long range. It fires at -1 to hit at long range, unfortunately, so you'll be hitting at ballistic skill 3 at long ranges. But it's strength 5 with -2 AP with 2 damage, and it's also got rapid fire as well as a sidearm trait, so this weapon is quite good. Now unfortunately it also has a 6-up ammo check, but hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems as you go through it. So this guy's also a really good leader as well. He's got that dodge evade ability, so that way he's hard to hit. He can also dodge getting shot at as well. Step aside is going to be great for close combat, and trick shots going to be really great to hit people who are behind cover. Now the ferryman rig hand for this gang is a man named Lagrun is his name, and he's also got a 5-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 5 strength and 5 toughness, 3 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks. He's got 7 leadership, 6 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. So this guy's an escaped slave ogre who's also the rig hand for this gang, so quite powerful as well. He's got light carapace armor for 4 armor save. He's also got the weapon called Hook, Line, and Sinker, which is basically a harpoon with a meat hook attached to it as well. He's got a respirator for gas and tox attacks. He's got the crushing blow ability, so he's going to get additional damage and additional strength on 1 attack, as well as unstoppable, which is going to make him a little bit more survivable against flesh wounds as well. Now that Hook, Line, and Sinker weapon is a versatile trait weapon that gives him 2 inches, gives +1 to hit at short range. It's also give you a strength 6 attack in close combat with -1 AP as well as 2 damage. It's also got the Entangle special rule, so that way it can't be parried. It's also got the Melee special rule. It's also got the Paired special rule, so you get additional attack in close combat as well. And it's also got the Versatile trait, which means if you're seeing this guy charging in close combat, he's going to be striking 5 times at strength 6, one of them being strength 7, at -1 AP, with 5 of those attacks being 2 damage, with 1 of the attacks being 3 damage. So absolutely devastating. This guy is a beast in close combat, so you'll be sitting him all the time in order to charge at your enemies. Now, for your Ferryman Steersman, this guy's going to be customized for your gang, so this guy's going to have a stub gun as well as a custom rig. Your custom rig is going to come with track locomotion because I'm a big fan of tracked vehicles in case you run into any difficult terrain, which is very common. You do lose 1 movement point, but makes it a little bit easier for you to go across difficult terrain. You give this vehicle crash cage in order to protect your fighters, as well as escape hatches to protect them as well, a transport cage to protect your passengers, and a redundant drive system just in case anything happens to your vehicle. You're going to have tire claws for improved handling with +1, as well as an engine shell to protect your engine for your vehicle, and a nitro burner to make up for the fact that you're going tracked to put you back up to movement 7. We're taking smoke vents as well, so that way your enemies suffer a -1 hit against you in shooting, as well as headlights and a searchlight, so that way you can see exactly where you're going and the visibility conditions of Hive Secundus, and at the same time you're taking the expert driver ability, so that way you could also be a little bit more survivable with that as well. Now, if you notice, there's no weapons for this vehicle, and the reason why is because as you go through the campaign, you'll buy weapons in order to increase the deadliness of this vehicle. The crew is quite deadly already. The vehicle weapons are not much of a priority. You can buy those as you go through your campaign. Now, you do have the Survivor Enclave special rule, which means that once during each cycle you may perform 1 medical escort mission for free. This can also be used for anybody who survives a memorable death, so very useful ability there. But the real reason why you want to take these guys is for chasing the high special rule. Now, this real special rule is great because what it reads is that during the campaign survival phase, which is the very last phase of the campaign, roll a d6. On a 4+, they stay for another battle, otherwise they leave. And that's the nice thing about this, because what ends up happening is this: for most Abyssal Ferrymen teams, after the first 2 phases of the campaign, they go away and they never come back. This specific Abyssal Fire team, though, stays during the 3rd campaign. You got a 50-50 chance every battle that you take in the 3rd phase of the campaign to keep these guys around, which means that your gang can still have these fighters potentially all the way to the end of the campaign. And that's the reason why I would recommend going with this group for a Dramatis Personae group. The fighters are really powerful, the vehicle's really good as well, plus they will stay longer with your gang to help you out. So for example, if you're a Spire Hunter gang and you're going to the Underhells, these guys would be great to have, because the #1 handicap of a Spire Hunter gang is the lack of numbers. These guys will help fill that gap and stay with you longer as your campaign develops. So that is my take on the Survivor Abyssal Ferrymen team for your campaigns of Necromunda. Now, list number 3 is an Explorer Abyssal Ferryman team. Your Ferryman skipper is going to have the shooter characteristics with a 4-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill, 3 strength, 4 toughness, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. This character is going to come with mesh armor as well as an armor undersuit, increasing their armor save to 4 up. You equip this guy with a Crute long rifle, so that way you get long range shooting attacks as well as a good powerful close combat attack. You give this guy photo goggles, so that way you can see in all visibility conditions, as well as a respirator to make them more survivable against gas as well as toxin attacks. You give this guy a grapnel launcher, so that way he can rocket around up to the elevated positions of the battlefield, and a drop rig, so that way they can descend very quickly. And you give this guy the fast shot ability, so that way they can shoot twice per phase. The Crute long rifle is a really good powerful weapon for sniping. At the same time, the grapnel launcher and drop rig will help you to move vertically through across the battlefield as well. This guy's also got a really good ballistic skill too, so he's going to be providing a lot of covering fire for your gang. Now, for your Ferryman rig hand, you're going to give this guy the squat characteristics. So he's going to have 3-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence. Now, this fighter, of course, is going to have flak armor, so that's 6 up armor save. They're also going to have a long rifle with an infra sight, so that way they can shoot at targets in all visibility conditions as well. They're going to have a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon, as well as the fast shot ability, so that way they can shoot multiple times per turn. So this guy is kind of like the complete package. You got that really great ballistic skill in order to hit your targets with a long rifle. You got really good strength and toughness for close combat and survivability as well. And plus, at the same time, having that long rifle, that infrared sight for all visibility conditions, really, really powerful ability as well. Now, for your Ferryman Steersman, this guy comes with a stub gun as well as a custom rig. We're giving this guy track locomotion as well, because I'm a big fan of track locomotion against difficult terrain. It's got a crash cage and escape hatches to protect your passengers, a small transport cage to protect your passengers as you're going across country, a redundant drive system to protect your wheels, your tire claws for better handling, nitro burner for a +1 moon allowance, as well as a grenade launcher with a frag and crack grenades, so that we can fire those weapons, and the fast shot ability, so that we can fire your grenade launchers multiple times. The whole sole purpose of this Ferryman team is to actually be the long-range shooting element of your gang, so that way you can protect your fighters as you advance towards your enemies. Now, they're going to have the Explorer Enclave special rule as they're also going to have the Explorer special rule attached to these guys as well. So that way that you have the New Horizon special rule, which means at the end of each cycle, earn D3 exploration points to the gang's total. So the idea behind these guys is that these guys are like long-range sniper types that travel around the travel around the exclusion zone. They take enemies out at distance, and they look for new places to find wealth and to exploit opportunities to make your gang even more profitable. So that is my my little Explorer Abyssal Ferrymen team recommendations for this list. And finally, list number 4 is going to be a Tinker Abyssal Ferryman team. Your Ferryman skipper is going to have close combat characteristics with 5-inch wound allowance, a 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballista skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks. It's got 8 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. This character is going to have mesh armor for that 5-up armor save, as well as a last pistol with a hot shot last pack, so that way you have a strength 4 shooting attack they can also use in close combat, as well as a chain glaive, because chain glaives are the pwn. Those things are fantastic. It's also got a refractor field to give him a 5-up armor save as well, and the bulging bicep skill, so that way you can take your unruly trait off of your chain glaive, so that way this guy can fight with both a chain glaive and a last pistol in close combat, which is absolutely fantastic. This guy's gonna be wrecking face at strength 6 attacks with everything that a chain glaive brings. At the same time, he's also gonna be able to get 4 attacks, because 3 of them will be from the chain glaive, 1 from the last pistol, the hot shot last pack. You can also do some short range shooting as well, so this guy's up in your face, smashing face, and shooting people as well. Your Ferryman rig hand's gonna have the ogring characteristics. He's got a 4-inch wound allowance with a 4+ weapon skill and a 5+ ballista skill, but he's packing 5 strength, 4 toughness, 3 wounds, 6 initiative, 2 attacks, 10 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. Now this guy's going to also come with flak armor for a 6-up armor save. He's also packing a chain axe, which is going to be really great because he also has parry, as well as a whip, so that way he's got that 3-inch versatile attack with that whip as well. He's got a stub gun for a backup weapon, just in case you need a short range shooting attack. He'll be able to shoot at a 3-up for his ballista skill with a stub gun. He's got a refractor field as well to give him a 5-up ward save, as well as the headbutt skill, because headbutt gives you a free attack in close combat, which is going to only make this guy even deadlier in close assaults. So this guy is like your wrecking ball of your team. You send this guy straight towards the enemy as quickly as possible, so that way you can destroy people, and then have him backed up by your Ferryman skipper as well. So these guys are your close combat assault dudes. Now for your Ferryman steersman, he's going to have a stub gun and a custom rig. Once again, track locomotion, because I'm a fan of that. He's also got a crash cage as well as a transport cage, a redundant drive system, as well as an engine shell, so that way you have protection for all your vehicle components. It also comes with a long last for long range shooting with your long last gun. It's also got a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades, so that way you can do blast templates, and the guy's also got the heavy foot skill, so that way you get additional movement to your charge for your ramming actions as well as your movement actions. Just be aware that if you roll a 1 though, you could get a glancing hit on your engine, but that's going to be okay though, because you have an engine shell to protect that from your vehicle. These guys also have the Tinker Enclave special rule war chest, which means at the end of each cycle, if the Ferryman team is deployed, add D6 times 5 credits worth of weapons or war gear from your house equipment list to your gang stash. That's a really great way for you to get all those little nitnoid things that you would like for your gang. These guys also provide a lot of close combat ability to protect your fighters and also to reinforce your assaults, and at the same time also be able to move around the battlefield very quickly and be survivable with your custom rig. And this makes up list number 4 for my Abyssal Ferryman team. So in conclusion, the Abyssal Ferrymen team is a very unique campaign mechanic for Archaeotech hunters. So if you decide to take that alliance or that alignment when you go into the campaign, just be aware you get one of these Abyssal Ferrymen team for your gang for free. It kind of replaces the old alliance systems for the Underhill's campaign, since you don't have access to alliances in the Underhill's campaign, so that's kind of a nice thing to add this to it. Plus, there is a almost infinite variety, flexibility, and customization for your fire team, for your Abyssal Ferrymen team. You can do whatever you want with these guys. And by no means my list is exhaustive. You can do all kinds of crazy things. And I'm really super excited to see what other people create for their own Abyssal Ferrymen teams as well. So if you have like something you want to use for your campaign, please put it down in the comment box below, because I would love to see what kind of stuff you guys come up with for your own gangs. Because, you know, I have my preferences of how I play, and it may or may not reflect how other people like to play. These are just my recommendations, but you can create whatever you want. And if you make something that's even better than what I created, I definitely want to see that, because I want to use that to help me win in my own campaigns in the Underhills as well. And because this is a new campaign setting that we're going into for Necromunda, as always, we'll put new information up as more information becomes available, so keep an eye out for new material and content that will be dropping on this channel. So that's good for this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. I'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.